Welcome to Ways to Live Your Money. We're so happy that you're here. It's our 5th season, and we're having a major focus today on the term businesses and also retirement planning and doing it right. We have a great guest on our show this week, and her name is Tatiana Tsoir. She's a CPA, and she's got a book coming out, so I can't wait for her to tell us about it. But again, this month for March is Women's History Month, so we really want to emphasize that as well. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Ways to Live Your Money, and we have our great guest here, Miss Tatiana Tsoir. She is a CPA, and she has an outlook for business owners and a new book release, and we can't wait to have this conversation with her. Welcome, Tatiana. It's wonderful to meet you.
Elisabeth, it's so great to be here, and thanks so much for having me.
Oh, gosh, it's a pleasure. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more about you, your passion, what you're doing, and really how you're trying to help women and the business owner out there.
I kind of wanted to be, just to give you a little background so that you understand where I'm coming from. I have been wanted to be a lawyer for many years, but I came to the United States when I was 19. By that time, I've completed 2 years of law studies. And in the US, I found myself needing to support myself financially. I was by myself here, and I actually, when I went back to college, I was looking to pick a major that would allow me to have a bachelor's degree, a meaningful bachelor's degree that would allow me to actually support myself financially. And because I also got a job as a bookkeeper at the time, it was just a great, match to go for accounting. I mean, many people have thought that accounting is dry, that it's not challenging enough, and so on. But I actually went for accounting and fell in love with it along the way, which is interesting because I could never imagine myself being an accountant before. But kind of a couple of years into school, I decided to kind of ramp up my efforts and go full time, but like 5 or 6 classes full time, because I wanted to graduate before the state of New York would change the rules on the CPA license, and I wanted to be grandfathered in so that I didn't have to do extra work. So my job at the time, my full-time job at the time, couldn't accommodate that. And it was actually a really fortunate thing because they couldn't accommodate. I quit the job and I found 5 small business clients that didn't need me for a whole week, but needed me for a day or 2 or half a day or every other week or whatever. So I was able to become a really great at time management and also load management, and kind of along the way fell in love with accounting and numbers and small business. And I did work for a CPA firm for license purposes. I worked for a couple of years and I got my tax experience. But I also fell in love with working with different leadership styles, different people, different industries. And I've gotten a lot of experience by the time I graduated. So after I worked for a CPA firm, a couple of years, I got enough experience to be able to branch out on my own. And for me, family was more important than anything else. And so when I got pregnant with my daughter, it was right before tax season that year. I decided to quit and not put her through the stress of tax season. It is stressful. You work long hours and travel and stuff like that. So I was very fortunate because I basically grew my business by referral only for a number of years. And now I work with businesses at a level of helping them grow. So I'm trained in price psychology. I help people price better, raise their prices, understand how to present prices to clients. I'm trained in tax planning, which means we're not just planning how to pay your tax that's calculated. We actually work throughout the year to reduce your tax payments so that you can invest this money and multiply the savings. That's something that has to be done before the year is over, because once it's over, there's not much you can do.
I couldn't agree more with you on that statement because, we really stress the emphasis on fourth quarter planning, not first quarter planning of the new year, but fourth quarter planning because, in so many situations, if there's something you can do about it, especially meet with your tax professional at that point. But when you get into January, you can't really do too much.
Yeah. And there is, there is money trail that needs to be done. There's paper trail that needs to be set up. So it's not a simple, application of the law kind of thing, but it's much more involved in that. And so I no longer work with startups, no longer work with people who are just starting out businesses. I no longer work with people who just want once a year tax relationship. I work with businesses who want to grow, scale, and do it better from a tax perspective, do it better from a management perspective, potentially pricing if it's applicable, but really manage the entire relationship, the entire business, and help the business owner actually be confident in their numbers and their money, understand the taxes, and then understand how to save money on tax so that they can have more and create a better retirement for themselves or whatever it is that's important for them.
Well, I think that's a big part of the conversation with people today. It's about how can you make as much money as possible, but keep as much money as possible, and also think about the future. And, the business is an important part for an entrepreneur. In a lot of cases that I see is that the business is doing so well, but then when we kind of translate that to the personal life, it's not running as efficient. So do you see even some of your clients transitioning into their personal lives, looking at this and maybe taking advantage of the savings or the tax savings or the planning and either rebuilding their business even more or also looking at their personal lives as well?
Absolutely. And that's part of the kind of engagement with me. What I help them do is not only set more money aside, so pay less taxes, set those, I guess, strategies in motion, but also I believe, and actually I have a company that's called that, I believe that business is personal. So when I work with clients, I get to know them personally. And because of that, obviously my fees are much higher than a traditional once a year relationship with an accountant. Sure. But it's also, I ask you about whom you support, whom, like, do you have children? How old are the children? There are tax strategies around all those things. What kind of costs do you have on your personal life? Because all of that plays into how can we make this expense legally deductible for you so that you can keep more of your money. And that's why, when I work with clients, it's typically business and personal relationships. So it's not, I guess, smart to separate from an accountant who does your business from the accountant who does your personal. It makes sense to do it in tandem, kind of, because that's where I can bring in more value to you as a business owner.
That's great. Well, I know that there's a book over your shoulder right now, and that's a book that's launching the month of March here. So you're in the thick of tax season, which thank you so much for being here. I know how busy you must be. But in addition, tell us a little bit about your book. We can't wait to hear about it.
So my book is called Dream Bold, Start Smart. And the book is for someone who has a business idea or has a side hustle or a passion for something, and they want to make it a great business. They want to make money, build a business around their life, basically, and do handle all the money numbers and tax matters better to start. The book came as a result of kind of having worked with small businesses for the past 16 years and seeing the same things, the same errors, the same concerns, the same issues. So in the past 3 years since I've gone through the transformation of my tax practice, I noticed that people who come to me, by the time they get to me and can afford me, they've already kind of been heartbroken. They've either lost money, or lost time, or both. Maybe they've made some mistakes. Maybe their taxes weren't done correctly, which very often is the case, and that I saw. So I realized that I can no longer work with startups because they don't have the budget for someone like me, but they're the ones who need that expertise most. So I wanted to create a manual on how to start better so that you skip the anxiety, save the money, save on tax, don't make mistakes, get the help that you need, accounting help that you need kind of along the way. I talk about milestones and things like that. But by the time you get to someone like me, it doesn't have to be me, but someone like me, they can help you grow as opposed to focusing on unscrewing everything that was done wrong before. And that's where that's where the power is. And I wanted to create this guide, this resource for people to start better, so that people who may have never started could actually have hope and know that they can absolutely do it and navigate the tax stuff and know how to handle it and know how to look for an accountant that's good.
Hmm. Well, in light of Women's History Month this month, quick question for you. With women, I know we talked about this a little bit, but is it harder for women to start a business in your opinion? Or why is it harder?
In my experience, I found that for women, it's harder to take risks. We have a lot more fears. We have a lot more lower confidence in ourselves. We much more often have the imposter syndrome. I mean, taking the risk is kind of an interesting concept, because sometimes it's okay that we don't take risks, but at the same time, if we don't take the risk, then we don't know, we can't benefit from the upside. So we're just so focused, I think, as women, we're so focused on the downside, potential downside of starting a business, or risking, taking a risk on something else, investing in the market or whatever, that we don't end up not taking the risk and missing out on the upside.
So, if you're talking to women out there right now, which I think is an important conversation, what would you tell them to give them a little bit more confidence and not to feel that they don't have the option, or, fear is going to stand in their way of being able to do what they love and create that business, that entrepreneurial spirit? What kind of confidence measures would you maybe want to say to the women out there?
I would say that it's important to understand that small businesses are the ones that lift up economies, especially women owned businesses. Women are often going in with the utmost passion, and maybe we take less risk, but we bring our heart into the business. For us, it's not just about the money. It's also about changing the world in certain ways. It certainly is true for me, and it certainly is true to most of the business owners women business owners that I've worked with and know. And I think that it's important to also, I believe in the muse, and I believe in an idea or an opportunity knocking on your door, and you have to answer, because if you don't, someone else will. But also, the stronger we are as women, the stronger our businesses are, the stronger the whole world is. I think that it's important to have a small business for a woman, especially because, I mean, I'm biased towards small businesses, but I think it's well deserved, because we can change the world, and I believe that people will buy from you because of your voice, because of your story, and that voice and that story, both of those things are important to bring into your passion. And if there's nothing wrong with not starting a business, but I think that you can do it without risking a lot. You can do it without risking losing money. I think it's worth a try, and that's why I wrote this book.
Well, that brings me back to the book, because that was so well said about women and business, and basically not having the fear and the confidence to go in there. If you don't try something, you don't know that you're going to fail. So don't set up the intention to fail when you go out there. But how can people get your book? We want to celebrate your book, because I think many entrepreneurs out there need to get that in their hands, but especially women today, they need to have that so they have a little bit more grounding and they basically run their business more for profit. So where can they get that book?
The book is available on Amazon, but I also have some resources and bonuses coming with the pre-orders, and those are available on my website, dreamboldbook.com. And it's just, there are bonuses, there are different things and resources that you can get with the book. And there's also a book experience that comes with every physical book.
Well, that's pretty exciting. I think that this is a next step, conversation as well. We'll definitely want to have you back, Tatiana, because I think there's more that we can share with our viewers. This is an empowerment conversation, I think, for the entrepreneur out there that's truly having maybe ideas about business. Maybe they think, they know what they're doing, but maybe they didn't have a formal education about how to run a business. That's probably the biggest concern for many business owners out there today. They learned a profession, but they don't necessarily know how to run it for profit. So I think that Tatiana is a great expert in this world, and this is going to be a must-read book. We're going to definitely have this in our office to be able to hand out as well. If you have questions for Tatiana, please get in touch with us. We will make sure that all her information is also, in this actual filming of the podcast. And again, Tatiana, thank you so much for spending time with us in such a busy time of year for you. We feel honored to be able to have you. And thanks again. I hope you'll come back again soon.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Good. All right. Take care. We'll be right back. Well, that was an amazing interview with Miss Tatiana Tsoir. She is incredible. You need to seek out her book. I think this is something that's going to be great for business owners. And one of the questions that we had from our audience is this: I just started my own business. How should I figure out my financials? You need to go get Tatiana's book. We'll make sure that there's a link here so that you can go ahead and get that, or reach out to her, because I know it's going to be available, I think, towards the end of March. But you know what? Empower yourself. Get ready. Get started. Every female business owner out there, you should be thinking bigger here, and you should be thinking broader. Now, this is for a start, but what Tatiana works with is really more of the established business, but she put the tools that she uses for those established businesses for the initial business owner too in that book. So I encourage you to get it. Thank you so much for tuning into season 5, and we can't wait for more things to come. And it's amazing how far we've come with this. And now it's time. If you are that business owner, your call to action at this point would be get in groove and start doing your planning. This is time to seek out a financial professional. We're here for you. Give us a ring at 619-640-2622 or click on the link below, set an appointment. You can do it virtually, and we'd love to have you part of our team. If you have questions specifically, please put it in the comments. We really want to get back to you. And again, thanks for tuning in. The information provided in this show is for informational and educational purposes only. This show is not investment advice, nor is it intended to address the financial needs of any particular viewer. The opinions expressed on this show are not intended to be an endorsement of any particular investment strategy or service of any other kind. You must make an independent decision regarding investments or strategies mentioned throughout the show. Before acting on information in this show, you should consider whether it is suitable for your particular situation and strongly consider seeking advice from a financial advisor.